What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the blue color, playing as Zeus from the PXX clan. His name is 3antozz. His clan mate facing up against him on the other side of the map in the red color, playing as Loki. His name is Gaboo. Hello to everyone. From the top of the world to the bottom of the world, all of the good things going to be happening in this one. This is the quarterfinals of the Challengers League portion of the playoffs for Challengers League, for Champions League season number 3. Quarterfinal time here. This is where things get into the nitty gritty, where legacies are made and egos are destroyed. I don't know, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. Don't ask me. We see Gaboo going in with Loki. No surprises here. The map is Tundra Pools. The unique part about this map is that the map does come with some extra safe fish, some side ponds where you can get some extra food from both sides of these ponds. And we are actually seeing something relatively interesting from both of these players, considering there's been a big trend on this map towards gods like Kronos, gods like Isis. We've seen Hades have a lot of success here. We haven't seen Zeus picked yet, I don't believe, on this map. We have seen Loki have success on this map in past seasons. So I am imagining that that success will continue in this game. But we'll have to wait and see what 3antozz is going to be bringing for us in this game with his Zeus. We should note that 3antozz is primarily a Poseidon player, but the stretch from going from Poseidon over to Zeus, it's not that big of a leap in terms of things that go into it. So we'll see what he's going to do. He's currently got himself 6 villagers on the wood, going over to the bottom side of the map there to drop a dock, getting himself out all his fishing ships here. He just needs that one extra one. His wood should come through nicely as the villagers waiting to drop the dock over here. He's also found the fish on this position there as well, as Gaboo's dropping himself his house on this position here. He's actually got... He should have one more fishing spot to come in, and he does, but he's forgotten to drop that fish out there, or he's waiting to drop the dock first and then get that fish out. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to get at. Okay. It's fine. It's all good. So, strategies we might be able to see here, and reasons we might be why 3antozz might be thinking Zeus, not a bad idea, especially because he is going to be assuming that Gaboo's most likely going to be going in with Loki here. So, the reason why Zeus here, not a bad pick, is because Zeus is going to be able to have a hyper-accelerated Athena rush with the hoplite. With the boosted food making hoplites, it's going to be really, really tough for Gaboo to deal with. Why? Because the boosted food that the Loki is going to have is going to be wanting to go into Herser. And Herser versus hoplites, that's a win for the hoplites. Hoplites normally win those sorts of fights. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see 3antozz going for something like 3 military academies right off the bat with an Athena rush and just trying to mow down a pure Herser opening from Gaboo. So Gaboo's going to have to be aware of this, and he's going to have to start thinking about things like making throw-in axemen, making sure he's got a ton of villagers on wood so he can afford those throw-in axemen, as well as making his Herser and getting all of the other things that come out with it. So it's all going to come down to almost ordering, timings, and everything else. We do see a really nice advance time here from 3antozz as he's struggling with that little bit less food. I think he's cut 1 villager over the course of this opening here, thanks to not building a granary onto this this nice juicy hunt here, deciding instead to do something a little bit different. A little bit of food or villager problems there in the early game from 3antozz, but not the biggest of deals. Losing out on 1 villager does kind of matter, and if you look at Gaboo's position here, he should be at he should be 1 villager in front of here, being at 19 rather than the 17 that Gaboo's got, because Gaboo's had to build himself the ox carts out. 2 ox carts is equal to basically an entire villager plus more. And generally speaking, what ends up happening is that the Greek player will then get himself the Jason and the Odysseus, and then those villager numbers start looking very equal after all is said and done. But we see Athena, we see Forseti. No villagers moving forward here for a forward building from 3antozz just yet. A little bit surprised to see that. I would have expected to see an Athena rush with 3antozz dropping these buildings down and just going absolutely full full send in this game, but he wants to sit back, be a little bit more defensive here. We'll see what exactly his plan is going to be as the villagers now moving forward. There's the military academy coming up. The Minotaur is out, going to be looking for a little bit of blood here, but just the one or two military academies coming down. No immediate purse scene coming out just yet as Gaboo gets his immediately. There are 12 fishing ships. So this is a bit of a question to ask yourself is, at what point should you get purse scene? And both players deciding relatively fast is the answer. But the math that you have to basically do is every 3 fishing ships you have is roughly equal to 1 extra fishing ship if you were to get that purse scene upgrade. So 12 fishing ships, you're getting around about 4 extra fish out, effective fish out, which does mean that it's going to be a decent advantage there, that you're going to be able to recoup those 300 resources relatively quickly as the Minotaur is immediately going after this dock. Gaboo's basically forced to build a longboat here, and he will be doing so as more units are going to be coming through. The Hursa are coming over here as well to defend this one, and unrivaled's going to be very, very happy at this point here to just leave once he sees that longboat. In fact, he leaves before the longboat comes out as the Hursa come through. So a bit of a waste of wood there from Gaboo after all is said and done. It's the Odysseus and Jason getting some good damage done onto those Hursa over there. We do see the scout just continuing to check everything out as we've got double archery ranges coming down now as well for unrivaled. A little bit of wood floating in the bank here. He's not actually building those archery ranges either. So a bit of a nerves issue here starting off this game, as the unit's still pushing in onto this position. Gaboo getting himself that Hall of Thanes as the longboat does end up getting bolted down. The hoplites and the Minotaur will be able to take this dock out. He could utilize the restoration here if he so chooses. It'll be a little bit of overkill, and it looks like that longboat is not going to be able to come out here. It's going to be incredibly close, and he does manage to kill that dock before the longboat comes out, putting a complete stop to these fishing ships on this location. And if he stays here, in fact, if he sends a villager forward to drop a dock down by himself, he can claim this fishing location for himself here, as Gaboo will have to retreat back here. This opening from unrivaled is absolutely huge right now. He's floating a lot of resources, though, after all is said and done. The house is coming up. The archery range is now starting to come through for unrivaled as he knows that he's going to need those Toxotes to deal with some potential throw-in axemen coming out here. As we see the double longhouse is up. The temple over on this position as well, building her. So it's only 3 military buildings for... Gaboo at this moment, which might not be enough. You can see he's floating quite a bit of food and gold, but Gaboo might be just wanting to go straight to the next age here after all is said and done, as the hoplites come through, going to try and put a stop to the dock that's getting built back up on this position. Nice play from unrivaled. Good awareness here, but Gaboo here just going to retreat back and probably return back over here and finish that dock off when he can. Meanwhile, the hoplites need to retreat back out here, as it looks like unrivaled mispositions his army ever so slightly. More military buildings getting dropped down now by unrivaled. He is going for the full send here, it seems, in the classical age. Exactly what he needs to be doing as the dock gets denied there. Units coming through here. There doesn't seem to be an Odysseus in this army here for unrivaled at the moment. He's just built that one out. Needs to restart those villages yet again. As the Jason coming onto that iron here. I've got to be a little bit careful not to throw the Jason away, as the dock coming back up on this position. Gaboo desperately needs that one back up. All of those fishing ships sitting at 25 food at the moment here, as unrivaled's army getting closer and closer to that full population. He's starting to spend those resources. He's getting more and more military buildings down. This is a really, really nice lesson in Age of Mythology for those of you guys playing at home. If you ever screw up macro, don't let it get to you. Just put more military buildings down and spend those resources. Yes, it's not going to be as efficient as if you had just built the units out perfectly from the get-go, but at the very least, you've spent those resources and you're going to get those units out slightly later, but you're going to get them out much faster than if you were to do nothing. So nice job here from unrivaled to make sure he's going to be spending all of those resources and getting all the units out to keep pushing through. At this point, though, Gaboo, he's at full population himself here. He's doing a good job in this game, but it's now medium hoplites and those Toxotes are out here to deal with the hoplites, as now we also see the longboat coming through. That's going to mean that unrivaled needs to leave this location and start looking for somewhere else to attack. And he is going to be choosing the main base here, it seems, as Gaboo putting more longhouses down. I wouldn't mind seeing like watchtowers coming through here for Gaboo as well, just to make sure that if he does decide to go to the heroic age, he's going to be able to have a very, very easy defense of that one, as the villagers now moving over onto this oak oak tree here to be a little bit more safe as the units coming in for the attack from 3antozz. Just moving back and forth a little bit there as the Iron Heart does get taken out. The Town Center going to be getting some damage done as we do see Bragi on the way. 3antozz has got very few options right now. One would be to Town Center dive at this point, take out that Town Center with a restoration, but there's so many units out for Gaboo that it just might not be a good idea. The other option is for him to try and get to the Heroic Age himself here, as we do see the Watchtowers are indeed coming through now for Gaboo, as he's just happily waiting in his base at this moment. The big problem for Gaboo is he doesn't have any gold, and he is doing exactly what he does nicely here. He's not overcommitting onto that gold mine down the bottom, just waiting it out here. The Hoplites do find the temple, however, and 3antozz could try and bum rush that down a little bit and prevent a battle ball from coming out. We'll see if he's going to be able to get it down in time, or if Gaboo's going to be able to recognize he needs to get himself out another temple here. As the army is coming now onto that temple here, it's taking it down very, very fast, 90% of the way through for the Bragi, and the temple does end up going down. That's going to be putting a stop to any sort of battle balls coming out here, as we do see the flaming weapons coming in, and 3antozz going to decide in this moment to just retreat. He does have restoration here as an attempt at some ghost buildings. I'm surprised to see him just trying to retreat here, but he does get away with the vast majority of his units for the time being, as the Hoplites turn around, getting a little bit of damage done here, and then he's just going to split them up. The Hoplites do move at a slightly faster clip than the Toxotes do, and 3antozz is just simply going to be running away for the time being. Does turn around, get a little bit of damage done, and he does decide in this moment here to drop that restoration. He could have done that earlier in the fight, but he decides in this position now to drop that one and take the fight a little bit, picking off as many of those Hursa as he possibly can. But that will mean that Gaboo's now going to get a huge amount of value out of his flaming weapons. 3antozz just deciding it was better for him to take the trade here, it seems, and then just retreat and just continue to take damage. As some units on this position getting taken out as well. Gaboo at this point now, he's going to be in full send. We see a Town Center coming down here, and the units for Gaboo just sitting back here, waiting, watching, ready to push forward. 3antozz now, he's kind of stuck in the classical age to some degree, but gold mine on this position behind a Town Center. 3antozz might be able to hold this as long as he can get those heroes out to deal with the impending battle ball mass that is going to be coming for him. We do see the battle ball is out. The battle balls are queued up as well. And now Gaboo, he's not going to be finishing with a heroic age here. He's going straight to the mythic age. That market coming down as well. Going to be hell, literal hell for 3antozz to deal with, because the Nidhogg, Fire Giants, and everything else, very, very tough for any Greek player to deal with. And especially, funnily enough, the Zeus is arguably, of all of the Greek gods, one of the worst at dealing with the mythic age of the Loki. Why? The Polypheme is very, very difficult to kill, even though it doesn't get onto the Fire Giants easily. It's got so much tank that you can just send it forward and start killing off the Fire Giants. Obviously, the Hades mythic age hero is kind of weak in a sense, but it does one-hit those Fire Giants really, really nicely. And then finally, you have the Bellerophon. And what's weak about the Bellerophon? Well, he jumps in, and sometimes he misses the Fire Giant, sometimes he doesn't. But then he just gets absolutely murdered by Hursa. The Hursa absolutely murder that Bellerophon. So at the very best, you're going to be able to pick off one or half HP of the Fire Giant before the Bellerophon ends up dying. As the unit's pushing through here by 3antozz, he is finding himself some good value in this fight as the Mythic Age is coming through for Gaboo. Gaboo kind of sits out here a little bit too long with his units at this point. As he retreats back into his main base, he now has to rebuild all of his units here. He's kind of missing out on a fair few Hursa at this point, as the Dwarves simply just pulling back off of that gold mine yet again. As the market getting taken down over here for 3antozz, nice little bits of damage there as the unit's pushing out onto this position. They might find some gold villages over here if he moves fast enough. Alternatively, grabbing a Town Center is absolutely another idea here, as the Toxotes searching around for where those dwarves are. The dwarves are sneaking through here. There's villages on this position and over here. 3antozz at this point might be able to find himself an upgraded, or not an upgrade, but an underworld here to get himself from one gold mine over to the bottom side of the map to try and get a gold staff here. But he still has to deal with that Nidhogg. Now, he does have a ton of Toxotes here. This is a big win for against the Nidhogg. And while the Nidhogg does huge amounts of splash damage, you can spread formation the Toxotes and find yourself an advantage where that's concerned. As the Dwarves do come over here, we do see Apollo coming down. The Military Academy is getting dropped onto this position as well for 3antozz. He's going to be going into those Hypaspis straight away, most likely. He's also got, I mean, still tons of Toxotes, so he's dealing with the Throw an Axeman and everything else quite nicely here. As the Dwarf coming in, shanking down this villager here. 3antozz has alt-S'd that one, passive stanced the villager, but he's not going to be able to get away from this. He's not going to be able to finish that Military Academy there as it does fall. The units retreating back underneath the town center as Odysseus is queued up to pop out of here. 3antozz is going to be looking to try and jump straight to the Mythic Age here, it seems, as Hera would be a huge advantage in this game, giving himself access to the Medusa and stuff. While I was talking about the heroes being a little bit of a difficult thing for the Greek players to deal with, Zeus does in fact have Hera, which does help deal with those fire giants quite a lot. In fact, you basically have yourself a Perseus in the Medusa. In fact, you do have a Perseus in the Medusa, as the villagers getting pulled off of this gold mine straight away. And the Nidhogg moving up to the top side of the map here as all the military buildings are down over here. We do see a underworld passage onto this position to push off of that gold mine there as well. But the town center of 3antozz will be falling here as the Nidhogg pushing into the main base over here, trying to take down some villagers as best as he can. Going to be taking a little bit of damage from those Toxotes here as the villager does end up falling there. It's burnt alive as now the hoplites can start tearing down the town center on this position, as 3antozz is making a good decision here to just ignore the army of Gaboo. He's not sitting in here and taking a fight that he can't win here. He's just saying, okay, I've got the advantage with the hoplites. I can take an attack down the bottom or defend my main base or something like that. As we see Sultan 4 coming through for 3antozz as well. Does he have the market up somewhere? The market is coming down over here with a ton of villagers. 3antozz got plenty of food in the bank, plenty of gold in the bank. Going to be attempting to get that town center up as fast as he can, or the Mythic Age up as fast as he can. But the problem is the Gaboo, he could just push forward. There's still no hero out for 3antozz. He's sitting at 99% of that Jason, where he really needs the Odysseus out at this point as the Nidhogg gets dragged underneath the town center fire, underneath the tower fire here. The fire giant sitting out on this position as well, with Valkyrie spawns coming through as the dwarves will move back over onto this gold mine. More units going to be piling forward here. We see now Gaboo's got 3 town centers at this point. He's got good economy with 50 gatherers there, and the obviously got the 11 fishing ships. Just missing that 1 fishing ship, as we also see a dock coming down on this position for 3antozz, trying to get a little bit of harass over there. Nice play from 3antozz. He gets a dock down on this position as well. So continuing to try and get that extra bit of damage done, as now we see 50% of the way through for 3antozz's Mythic Age as the Underworld Passage does get taken out. We'll see if Gaboo can push in and try and take down that home town center. After all is said and done, the Odysseus has stopped the Hera from coming through for the time being here, as the Toxotes is trying to defend over here. So the Nidhogg is going to move straight in onto that, onto those Toxotes here, as the Toxotes pushing forward onto this position. Gaboo doesn't know how smart this attack is. If he can take that town center down, he effectively wins the game, because no lightning storm is going to be coming through. The Odysseus jumping in and out of this position to try and take down that Nidhogg. 65% of the way through here for that Mythic Age of 3antozz, as the Herser coming in, taking out the Odysseus. There's a little bit of that garrison micro coming through here to help out. The town center is still going down 75% of the way through here for 3antozz, as the Odysseus tries to finish off that Nidhogg. It's down to 1000 HP. It takes so long to kill off a Nidhogg with 1 hero after all is said and done, as the Toxotes doing some good damage to the Herser, and it does look like the town center will barely survive here. There is the temple up on this position as well for 3antozz to hold here, as there's the Mythic Age through for 3antozz with 200 HP left. The Lightning Storm gets dropped down. The Battle Ball's still going after the town center. It looks like it will end up falling there, as the Nidhogg takes a ton of damage from that Lightning Storm as well, down to 200 HP. It looks like it will get taken out. Where's the Medusa gone after all is said and done? It's leaving this position as well. Could have come in and helped out quite a bit here, as the Nidhogg will end up falling. The villagers or units here for Gaboo kind of coming onto that position, as well as the myth unit's going to get pulled away, as the Medusa can very simply take out the fire giant if unrivaled pays attention. He is getting this town center up on this position as well. There are some medium past lining up on this position. And now it seems like to me, this game is far from over. unrivaled is being annoying all over the map here. There's only the one gold mine currently secured here for Gaboo. He's going to have to move off of this gold very, very shortly. He's sitting at 126 or 145 population with a lot of economy in the bank, a lot of resources in the bank. So he should be able to hold here. But the problem is that the pacifists are coming. Gaboo has got no answer to the pacifists at this point. He's got no upgrades in the cavalry, so making raiding cavalry not going to be the easiest thing to do here, as that Medusa does chase down the fire giant there nicely, sniping that one down beautifully, as the pacifist going to move over onto this position as well. Units pushing through here for unrivaled, as unrivaled has now got himself back up to 2 town centers. The hill fort is up, and I think the best option here for Gaboo would be to start making himself some ballista and keeping those nice and safe inside of the hill fort for a little bit here. But Gaboo's economy, or population I should say, is very, very low for no good reason here. He's forgotten military production or something at this point, it must seem. There's the fire giant on the back here, sitting back there. It looks like the Medusa is being clicked onto that position. The Hursa have not microed here from Gaboo to stop that Medusa from coming through. We do see the fire giant has already been brought back here as the the Jarl chasing that Medusa away. The Medusa does have the speed advantage in this one of an entire 1.1 speed advantage there, as the Medusa does manage to take out another fire giant, doing a nice job here as the units swarming onto this position. Both players floating quite a bit of resources here, as unrivaled here is pumping out units onto this position as best as he can to get units straight onto the fight. As where's the Medusa? The Medusa has fallen here. As unrivaled here, he needs to probably think about retreating back, and well, not even retreating back, but just getting himself that full population out, and even maybe getting himself that next town center. We do see Olympic parentage coming through. Is there a Bellerophon queued up? Yes, there is. That's going to be a huge help in the coming minutes here of this game for unrivaled to deal with what's coming for him. He's still making hoplites out to deal with those Jarl that are coming. He's got all the buildings on this position as well. He's got all the villages over here. All the buildings are spread out everywhere for unrivaled. He knows exactly what the game plan is in this game. He knows that Gaboo's sitting 100 favor here, and that this score lead that it looks like Gaboo has here isn't real. This game is very, very close. In fact, Gaboo here and unrivaled, I mean, the villager lead for Gaboo is there, but the gold income is not. As Bellerophon moves nice and close into the fire giant, manages to hit that fire giant. Gaboo's micro here on the fire giants has not been on point in this game at all, as Gaboo is trying to push through here. The hoplites too strong, holding onto this position beautifully, taking out all of those Jarls nicely as the villagers trying to take down the buildings. More looks like the bear actually managed to take down the forward villager that was putting buildings up on this position, as the hoplites are pushing through here, and Gaboo has got nothing left in the bank. We see villagers pushing out over onto this position as well. There's literally buildings everywhere here for unrivaled to immediately push through here. As the villagers are pushed back, the villager difference here is getting closer and closer. And Gaboo could have put a market down and started a trade route from the back corner up here as well, with all that excess food and population that he's got, but he hasn't done that just yet. We see champion infantry is now through for unrivaled, which makes his units incredibly strong moving forward. He's going straight after that hill fort to try and put a stop to the Jarl and cavalry training here as well. As now the Bellerophon moving forward, going to try and take out the villagers and everything else. The Toxotes coming in to take out those throwing axemen as well. As the Bellerophon going to simply move up to this top position here. Hoplites are already training out. And unrivaled, after all is said and done, somehow manages to claim this game. This game was played, from one perspective, this game was played kind of poorly from unrivaled. He completely allowed Gaboo to get what he wanted with that flaming weapons and get that hell timing and everything else. But after that, unrivaled played this kind of gold starve on both sides of this map like an absolute top level player. This was incredibly well played. After the fact here, Gaboo was, I think it was like 200 HP away from winning this game. 200 HP away from winning this game with that Hera coming through just in the nick of time. If Hera doesn't come through and that town center falls, unrivaled, gets himself back 1,000 or 2,000 resources, but Gaboo is not going to lose any units to the Lightning Storm. He's going to be able to get that next gold mine incredibly easily. And while unrivaled was building this town center back up, probably would have got it up. The extra minute and a half at the very least that Gaboo would have gained here would have been enough for him to get himself another gold mine, get himself set up, and there would have been no way here for unrivaled to inch his way back into the game. But Gaboo just a little bit too slow to take the town center down, and unrivaled manages to find just enough of an advantage with that Lightning Storm to get back into the game. And Gaboo just could not figure out how to get himself the units back out after all was said and done. And the game was finished. Incredibly well played at the end here by unrivaled. Gaboo started the game impeccably, but he just could not keep that level for the entirety of the game, and unrivaled claims game number 1. If you guys enjoyed this one, a great start to the series, please consider hitting the follow on Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.